Hello and welcome. You're tuned into TMH Daily English News. The headlines today: a Tigrayan rape story written on Amnesty wins international award. And UNFPA reports the pregnant and lactating women in Tigray are currently facing great health risks due to the ongoing siege. And the WHO chief says humanitarian blockade in Tigray and the attacks on scarce water resources in Burkina Faso are currently threatening millions and millions of lives. As we move on to our main updates for today, the Tigray rape story has won a prestigious award. A Tigray womb should never give birth, quote unquote. A rape in Tigray has won Amnesty's International Award for Written News category. Author of the news story aired on Al Jazeera, Lucy Casa thanked Amnesty for the award on her Twitter account. And the Amnesty International described Lucy's story as a powerful and moving story. She also thanks Al Jazeera English for choosing the story and would not have been possible as I hate applying for awards, she said. Lucy extended thanks to her editor, Tio Carmelitos, for his professionalism, which she described as incredible. This story highlights the tribulations of Akbarat, a 34-year-old Tigrayan mother who was displaced from Western Tigray in Ethiopia. When the war broke out, the Amhara armed men who entered her town in Humera separated Akbarat from her children and brothers and took her into an abandoned farmhouse just a few meters away. The four men took turns raping her. After they were done, the militiamen inserted into her genitals a hot metal rod that burned her uterus. I begged them to stop, Akbarat told Al Jazeera. I asked them, crying, why they were doing this to me and what have I done to deserve it? She quoted the armed men as saying, you did nothing bad to us. Our problem with you is your womb. Your womb gives birth to the Wayana, a term used to refer to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, and a Tigrayan woman should never give birth. After the militiamen left, Akbarat was left there unconscious. Her brother went to get her with help of other displaced people and took her to a town near the east. A doctor who treated her there confirmed to Al Jazeera that the sexual assault made her in fact infertile and her bleeding has now stopped, but Akbarat, currently recuperating at a relative's house, cannot walk and has not been able to keep her legs spread. Sleeping at night is hard for her as well. UNFPA reports that pregnant and lactating women in the region of Tigray are currently facing great health risks due to the ongoing siege. And again, according to UNFPA, nearly 1,800 women are estimated to be pregnant in the region, with 5,800 of them expected to experience an obstetric complication within the next 3 months. Danait fled Western Tigray, Ethiopia, with 4 of her 7 children in April of 2021, when conflict intensified across the region, displacing millions of people and leaving more than 5.2 million in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. Since then, and without any sources of income, her family has relied entirely on aid, and she sheltered a Sub-Care for International Internally Displaced Persons camp on the outskirts of Ma'ala Tigray region. The reality for pregnant women like Danait in Tigray currently is extremely harsh. Malnutrition rates among pregnant and lactating women are alarmingly high in the region. I have survived my pregnancy on hardly a meal a day, she says, adding that she's concerned about her baby's health as she and her fellow IDPs are currently living on minimum food within their camp. After 18 months of fighting, many people are facing hunger in Tigray, including healthcare providers who have remained unpaid for 10 months while cost of living has extremely soared. Without access to life-saving services, many pregnant women are facing great risks, a health professional from Shura district told Tigray, who did not want to reveal her identity, as she told UNFPA. In addition to a shortage of providers, damage and destruction to health facilities, and a lack of saving medical supplies are severely disrupting the delivery of sexual and reproductive health services within the region. The availability of maternal health care, including emergency obstetric care to treat life-threatening pregnancy complications, has also been critically compromised. Despite the recent positive announcement of a humanitarian truce, aid supplies, including food and essential health supplies, are trickling into Tigray and are insufficient to meet the needs on the ground doesn't even come close. Danait prays her newborn doesn't get sick, and life is not granted in these conditions, he says extremely wearily. You're currently tuned into TMH Daily English News, and we'll be right back after this short break.
We used to have a family, school, hospital, food, peace and freedom, but now we have none of them.
I don't know where my parents are.
I really miss my sister. Where is she?
I want to know where my dad is. I miss my mom. I don't see my brother.
So, people of the world, we are part of you. Please, we need your help. We have a dream. We want to make the world a better place for the people like us. Please, give us your hand. We are Tigrai people. We are part of you. Act now.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into TMH Daily English News. As we move on to our next update, WHO chief says humanitarian blockade in Tigray and attacks on scarce water resources in Burkina Faso area are threatening millions and millions of lives. Director General of World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, made this remark during a press briefing in Geneva on Wednesday. The Director General said since the declaration of the humanitarian truce in Tigray 6 weeks ago, just 172 trucks of aid were able to reach the region, only representing just 4% of what is actually needed on ground. He also said repeated attacks on scarce water resources in the area of Burkina Faso are depriving people of access to minimum amount of water that they actually need to just barely survive. Dr. Tedros praises the U.S. President Biden for scheduling the first White House conference on hunger and nutrition and health care since 1969. The Director General described the upcoming summit as a timely, considerably that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals have reached 2030 have fallen extremely behind schedule. This summit is coming amid Russia's war on Ukraine, the conflict in Ethiopia's Tigray region, and the worst drought the Horn of Africa has seen in the past 40 years. About 15 million people are estimated to be severely food insecure in the regions and countries of Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia alone. Our final update today, the U.S. Embassy in Asmara, Eritrea, has falsified the Eritrean Information Minister's accusation of USA aid for spreading disinformation regarding atrocities by the Eritrean forces in the Tigray region. Eritrea's Information Minister, Yamana Gabramescal, claimed that USAID recycled disinformation from obscure sources like the New Humanitarian to wrongly access Eritrea and accuse Eritrea of these atrocities. The U.S. Embassy in Asmara responded by saying that the Eritrean minister is disseminating inaccurate information. The U.S. Embassy stated that the indelible fact, as the Ethiopian Attorney General, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission in conjunction with the UN, and many others have documented, is the Eritrean forces in Tigray have in fact committed heinous humanitarian rights abuses, including sexual violence and even killings of children. The embassy noted, quote unquote, they also looted businesses and medical facilities, as all Asmarinos know and as the New Humanitarian reported. The U.S. Embassy in Asmara said Eritrea should end its regional destabilizing military involvement within the northern region of Ethiopia, withdraw its forces from Tigray, and hold accountable those who have committed extreme human rights abuses and committed heinous atrocities. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.